Hey everybody, it's your humble author, narrator, and fictional character, Daniel Lewis Crumpton from downloadedcontent.com. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. You found the bottom of the internet. Please help our channel to grow by hitting the subscribe button. And if you enjoy these ramblings and podcasts from yours truly, hit the bell so you can be the first to get notified. Everybody's talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. If you're living under a rock somewhere, if it's not on your feed. And so in a society where we are all obligated to have opinions about everything, anything, all of the time, I figured, why not me? So on September the 11th, I sat in front of the mistress, the blank white page, to put what I had contemplated regarding the assassination on the mistress. And this is what came out, and I'm going to read it to you. And again, if you want to read the article for yourself and be able to click on all the Easter eggs and the hyperlinks, go to downloadedcontent.com. And there you will find recently published The God Who Guides Bullets, The Collateral Damage of Charlie Kirk. And it goes like this. From the perspective of the system Ahriman has built, what better way could there be to celebrate the anniversary of 9/11 than with another human sacrifice? Not just any human sacrifice would do, no. To feed the flow of the algorithmic live stream, a sacrifice guaranteed to stir up as much loose from the subjects of Ahriman's reign would be required, and executed on live stream, of course. For better or worse, and of course, from whom you are to ask, this commemorative human sacrifice happened to be one Charlie Kirk. Let me say from the beginning of this little ditty that my knowledge or awareness of Charlie Kirk has been extremely limited. Prior to his portrayal in South Park, and recently watching him take one very well-placed shot in the neck without solicitation on any given number of social streams, I knew very little of it. But I would add the caveat that I knew enough. As an observer of the political stage and critic of humanity in general, there obviously have been memes, stills, links, and photoshopped images of Charlie Kirk's awkward features being exemplified appearing on my feeds. The most prominent one I can pull from memory is the deceased beneath a prove me wrong tent for several years. And from there, I simply deduced Charlie Kirk was cut from the same neoconservative cloth as Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, or Rush Limbaugh. Perhaps an amalgamation missing some chromosomes, cloned from the classic talk radio guys and scrubbed up for the internet age. That being the wealth of my awareness on the now kaput Charlie Kirk, I won't pretend to present to you long-winded and seemingly well-thought-out affirmations or rebuttals to what his body of work has been. Never really followed the guy, never really listened to the guy, never felt compelled to hear too awfully much of what he had to say. I could glean that he was a player in the left-right game, which keeps the majority still in a state of hypnosis. And the tune he was currently singing to was Trump. For yours truly, that was enough to know in order to file Charlie Kirk in the folder labeled People Whose Worldview I Don't Care to Imbibe. And then some as of yet unknown assassin pulls the trigger on, let's face it, an immaculately accurate shot, forcing myself and others who have avoided having to be more familiar with Charlie Kirk to go on a deep dive. It didn't take long to confirm my prejudices were correct, and I didn't have to search for all that very long either. I'm a pretty simple guy, and in the modern theater of politics and morality, my litmus test is what a person's perspective is on the Palestinian issue. If genocide is excused away with misquotes from scriptures a parrot hath not read, and if eugenics clothed in nonsense about God's chosen people is perpetuated, then I trust my gut enough to know anything else that person says is probably not worth my time. If a content creator or influencer stands on a Zionist soapbox, the rest of their ideology is pretty much paint by numbers. Abortion bad, guns good, homosexuals evil, unassimilated non-Caucasian scary, police state awesome, surveillance state great so long as they're at the monitor, Republican equals Jesus, Democrats equals Satan, military-industrial complex patriotic, American history white as the driven snow, and of course Donald Trump is the savior of all mankind, but in a non-religious way because the cognitive dissonance would make their necks explode. From what the internet hath shown me, Charlie Kirk came from that particular cloning facility and apparently got his rocks off by rage-baiting college kids as a bankable career. I think I got that right, but you're free to prove me wrong. Now, with Charlie Kirk having had the curtain call fall upon him due to the extremely efficient actions and aim of an assassin still at large, the algorithms are asking us all how we feel about this. As expected, and as a politically detached observer, it was noted how fast anyone and everyone took to their streams, channels, feeds, and Facebook pages to pour out their near instantaneous reactions. A populace compelled and conditioned to react and produce content prior to contemplation have already caused a tsunami of prospective thoughts and feelings, which generally fall in between two camps, like all other illusions of choice. In one corner, we have the crowd decrying Charlie Kirk's expiration date because for them he was a patron saint. In the other corner, a whole hell of a lot of people are celebrating a sniper bullet just defending itself because to them, Charlie Kirk profiting from his participation in the fascist occupation of their country was a real douche move. Needless to say, emotions on both prepackaged reactions are tangibly high. The fact that this emotion stirring assassination occurred on the threshold of September 11th's anniversary is an interesting plot point from my point of view. It's almost as if someone or something outside of the visible light spectrum really wanted to give a booster shot to the generational trauma of your society on the same date that the CIA worked with Mossad to sacrifice 2,977 Homo sapiens in the Twin Towers 24 years ago. Could it be the sacrifice of Charlie Kirk was a celebratory candle on the birthday cake of an evil cabal's greatest hit? A kind of magic spell to rip open a wound and revitalize a critical date that changed America forever, proving how easily everyone falls for the Hegelian dialectic card out of the Illuminati playing deck. The problem reaction solution cycle from 9/11 gave you a never ending war on terrorism and laid an impressive groundwork for an Orwellian superstate here at home. Could the kablooey of Charlie Kirk seal the deal and set into motion events in which Donald Trump will wage war on the radical left by further driving America into a creepy police state 24 years post false flag attack? I mean, one thing is certain, regardless of if the assassin was Mossad, CIA, or other, he sure wasn't some pimply Republican patsy kid from BlackRock commercials who couldn't shoot for shit. Or will he turn out to be? No, the mysterious Agent 47 who silenced Charlie Kirk was really good. Like, exceptionally good. Like, one shot, perfectly timed, tearing through a part of the body that pretty much guaranteed Charlie Kirk would never endorse or enable genocide ever again. Well, not in the flesh anyway. Which should make it apparent that this assassination is by the system, from the system, and for the system. The very same system that had no qualms about blasting JFK's brain matter on the back of a Lincoln Continental way back when. And when the system is hungry, it does not hesitate to eat its own. In the coming weeks and months, you can expect this company man killing of Charlie Kirk to moisten the soil for seeds of silencing dissent, just as the attack 24 years ago stifled the voices of those opposed to empire building and illegal occupations. All this being considered, your humble author, narrator, and fictional character is now apparently obligated by societal norms to feel some way or another. Which makes sense because, as we learned from the analyst, you people don't give a shit about facts, it's all about fiction. The only world that matters is the one in here, and you people believe the craziest shit. Why? What validates and makes your fictions real? Feelings. And here's the thing about feelings. They're so much easier to control than facts. Therefore, it's highly suggested that each and every one of us have strong, passionate, perhaps empathetic feelings regarding shadowy governments inside and outside the material and spiritual realms killing one of their cubs. So, I spent some time asking myself, without adopting the options being offered by Aramon on an iPhone, how I felt about Charlie Kirk getting the Call of Duty treatment. I don't. After generous time meditating on it, I returned to not feeling anything at all for Charlie Kirk. I did not feel compelled to celebrate as some, for I never let him underneath my skin so much as to be that agitated by his existence. But considering that a more civilized species, far flung in the future, doing a historical study on this time in history will categorize him as a collaborator with a fascist, eugenics-driven, theocratic, genocidal system, I can't bring myself to mourn either. History will look back on this age and weigh those in the balance that condoned, endorsed, enabled, emboldened, or facilitated genocide with scriptural distortions and scapegoats against those who did not. In this area, Charlie Kirk was most certainly a collaborator, until he wasn't. Having read that he once said, I can't stand the word empathy actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, I can see how the endless imagery of men, women, and children from Gaza getting butchered since October 7th, 2023 by the IDF, sponsored by the USA, wouldn't really tug at his heartstrings too much. Therefore, I'm inclined to adopt his point of view after witnessing him take one for the team. I don't feel empathy for a collaborator of empire or enabler of eugenics-driven ideologies that justify ethnic cleansing with claims of Jesus Christ's approval. Sorry, not sorry, but I don't feel bad for the guy. He And the cult of evangelical corporate Christianity insists upon insisting that the Bible says that which it does not. This is a long standing, overwhelming echo chamber of blasphemous belief that somehow or another the Prince of Peace endorses America, facilitating Israel in the endgame of eradicating the Palestinian people with all their stupid charts and graphs out of a Tim LaHaye's fairy story about a rapture. They are not the entirety of why the world has completely gone to shit, but they're probably one of the biggest cogs in the machine. Their dedication to fast tracking Armageddon due to biblical illiteracy has allowed them to be led by the nose from the shadowy governments both inside and outside the material and spiritual planes. One scroll or two that Rome didn't manage to molest would refer to them as Hylics. Look it up yourself. Now that bunch has a martyr, and no doubt they will put it to good use. Charlie Kirk's assassination will be used as an excuse by corporate Christianity and its ilk amongst the right, whatever that means, to usher in more empire under the pretty biblically accurate Antichrist Donald Trump. They will be pretty hyped up to wage war on the left, whatever that means, who will probably just make a ton of salty TikToks about it all in response. And all the world will be embraced in the arms of Ahriman, who feeds off all this nonsense as he anesthetizes the masses and places them comfortably into their pods. My only curiosity, which I eagerly await to be satisfied, is this. When someone allegedly took a shot at Trump and apparently missed, tons of MAGA of a corporate Christian persuasion declared that God intervened. They praised the Almighty they conceptualized from Sunday school for using his invisible magic divine pointer finger to nudge the bullet just enough to graze Donald Trump's ear rather than split open the cantaloupe. This alleged divine intervention was more confirmation that Donald Trump was sent by the Lord to, I don't know, make America great and all that stuff. It's from these Hylics that I wonder how this irony is rectified inside their mind. For if the God who guides bullets away from his showmen on one day is worthy of praise, can they at least be consistent when on another his aim is much deadlier than a graze? I mean, it seems to me the God of corporate Christianity is sending some pretty mixed signals if he was Johnny on the spot when the staged assassination attempt took place, but sleeping on the job when Charlie Kirk took one to the throat. I imagine the most logical explanation is the devil got one up on the Almighty in their disproportionately powered blood feud over mankind, seeing as how God is God and all, but perhaps the corporate Christian God is one of those types that lets evil get a one up every now and then just to screw with the opposition's head or something. Makes no sense to me, but not much from this backward planet does. Either way, the surplus of emotional energy from the left side and the right side of the people farm will keep Araman and his minions well fed for a while. They needed the scab of 9/11 to be picked a bit to keep everyone good and freaked out about everything. And human sacrifice never gets old for these guys. It wasn't the first, won't be the last. Perhaps it's a good thing we've all been desensitized to the horrors in Gaza. Now it shouldn't be so shocking when it comes to your college campuses and city streets. After all, it's what America's been paying for, only fitting its occupants taste the goods for themselves. No doubt the death of Charlie Kirk will keep the algorithm aroused for the coming weeks, and the lines of demographics, party affiliations, and team sports herd mentality will be more solidified to maintain humanity's endeavor to tear itself apart. For as Albert Pike once wrote, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. But make no mistake, they just as easily distribute martyrs to accomplish their goals of polarizing the planet and playing out the script of humanity's perpetual bondage to that which it cannot conceive with the mind or see with the eyes. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to read the article for yourself and go on the hyperlink Easter egg trail that I always put in my articles, go to downloadedcontent.com. And while you're there, if you would be so kind as to subscribe to the newsletter, just put your email in, and anytime the podcast or weird ramblings from my pineal gland get published, you'll be the first to know. I'm currently working on my new novel, Apocalypse 2, and I'm really excited about it. And I love sharing snippets of art and dialogue and release dates and all that good stuff to my readers. So the best way to do that is to subscribe to the Downloaded Content newsletter. What do you guys think about all this, man? Let's get the conversation started in the comments below wherever you're watching or listening to this. Have you heard of any of the corporate Christian cult members rationalize how in one instance when we have the WWF version of an assassination attempt with Trump, that God saved Trump and moved the bullet, and in this case he just let that bullet go right through Charlie Kirk's neck. So what does this say about the corporate Christian God's agenda? Like what mental gymnastics are the followers or members of this cult who have overthrown any semblance of liberty and democracy in your country out the window? How are they rationalizing this? I mean, is their God a mighty God today? I don't know. But what do you think? Put it in the comments below. And any other thoughts you may have on the Charlie Kirk assassination. But I think for the most part, the writing's on the wall. Whether you see this as a tragedy or something to celebrate, it's going to be used for the furtherance of empire and police state and militarization of the police and deprivation of all of your rights, because they don't ever let something like this go to waste. So until next time, guys, I would tell you to stay safe and stay sane out there, but judging by what's going on this planet, there is nowhere you can go except like to bed to get away from it all. I don't know. Anyway, until the next time, love you guys. Stay well.
You've reached the end of downloaded content, which means either you're more advanced than most or have nowhere better to be. Either way, subscribe to the newsletter and on YouTube, TikTok, or wherever souls are bartered online. Catch the long-form podcast on Spotify with new episodes weekly. Be sure to pick up Then Came the Flood, a novel by Daniel Lewis Crumpton on Amazon.com, Books-A-Million.com, or wherever books are sold. Experience a weaving together of the antediluvian world in a way that you've never felt before. Then Came the Flood by Daniel Lewis Crumpton. We'll see you in the next download.